right. Should be up and running and ready to go. We'll talk about the market, review today's plays, and talk about what to expect the rest of the week here. Let's get started. Good afternoon. This is Ifan from the Strategic Day Trader, and this is your market wrap for May 5th, 2021. Q's down about 1/3% there, and SPY about flat there. Okay. We came into today, we talked about the break of the hourly base that was here, and we were looking for this sell setup, okay, to trigger. We talked about how, today may be a little bit more of a range bound day because yesterday's bar was pretty big. So we get a little bit of a rest day. See how this bar was pretty big? Next day we get a little bit of a rest there. Sometimes we'll get a little bit more volatility going like we did. There was some news going on about, tax law changing and things like that there that increased it. But it's typically the case where you get a wide range bar, next day you get a little bit of a rest to digest the move. So we got the sell set up here, and it triggered right here and then kind of confirmed right there. Okay. So we came into today bearish, but we're waiting to see if we're going to trigger the sell setup and what kind of follow through we're going to get. Now the follow through still is a question, right? The expectation is that this lower high should lead back to retest the lows or even make lower lows. Okay, so it looks a little bit nicer on the Qs here. Qs are a little bit closer to the lows, so there's a little bit of relative weakness going on here with the Qs. Okay. But so far, this is kind of what we planned for. Really, the only thing we didn't talk about yesterday was if we got like a big gap up to here. Like that was the only thing we didn't really talk about. I said, well, if we get a gap down, obviously that's bearish. And then if we're more range bound. So I didn't really think that that was a possibility, although I should have at least addressed it. If we did get a big gap up, then back to bullish. Maybe needs a little bit more time first and then, right? Probably new highs coming. But that's not what happened anyway. I think what we prepared for from yesterday was a little bit of a rest day and then look for the hourly sell setup trigger to see if that provides the next leg down. Okay, so we're getting what we were looking for, which is nice because it makes it so that the next few days are easier to read. So now, above today's high on the Qs and SPY, no longer bearish. Okay, so same goes for the SPY there. All right, so today's high, which should be now, if it's good, if we are going to move lower, should be the pivot here that has created. So same goes for the SPY here, above today's high, which I guess is actually more here. Okay, 417.63, not necessarily the opening high. They're not that different though. It's not really a big difference. Okay, so over this, then no longer bearish. Okay, so that makes it easier. If we do take this out, we'll probably see some little bit of back and forth, but most likely, depending on how we do this, how we take this out, probably going to bleed back to bullish. Okay, but we'll deal with that when we get there. Okay, for now, bearish going into tomorrow, as long as we stay below today's high on the Qs and SPY. All right. Let's go over today's plays. I thought today was a little bit challenging, but I kind of felt like it didn't have to be. At the open, I did not have the EPAY on my gaps list, and I did not have the VRSK. Okay. And if I did, these would have been focused. Look at the EPAY. Look at the way that it gapped underneath this base, right? Which is a lot like the one that we played yesterday on the MAXR. So this gap I like a lot because it's igniting the next move lower. It's based. Maybe some people try to step up to see if the weekly buy setup's going to hold, and now we're clearing the base. Or we're gapping right to it, and then when it breaks below, right, that triggers you into the day trade, and then also forces swings, everybody to exit. So unfortunately on these, we just didn't have them. So kind of the best stuff that I thought that we had starting off with the ATNX, which I gave a shot here, gave this to over the high of the day as it was breaking out here, right? So it got some follow through here, enough for a target one, but then it did a breakdown failure there. And then I was looking to maybe you have to replay it over this base, right? But it didn't take that out. Okay, so there was no call there on that. But yeah, so this was the first, the ATNX. Okay, worked a bit, but then kind of ran out of steam. It never really made it so that this big void area was in play. So that, of course, is the big appeal with this gap. You go from a breakdown to reversing the breakdown, right? And then hopefully, right, moving a lot. We had like the RMO do something similar. See this? It was looking like it was going to break down and then reversal. Okay, so go from the breakdown failure to gap up over the base. Now this gap was a little bit too big on the ATNX. If you're in the room, we talked about it, why this was, because this gapped all the way here. Why this was like in between tier 3, tier 2. But not bad. But I thought that was kind of the best because I didn't have the VRSK or the EPAY. Okay, which this is really nice trend break on the VRSK. Okay, I did give the TTI a shot, same as or same thing that we played yesterday. This symbol again, played it yesterday, played it here in the morning, and then trailed it up over the breakout there, or the little like pullback, and then set up a base, and then trailed it there. So lost a little bit on this TTI. It eventually did get going, I think, but there was no good setups after that. The best play today, though, and so there were a couple plays I missed. So tomorrow, in the pre-market, right before the open, I'm trying to see if there's anything that we missed for the gaps list, because we really need to have these. The best play of the day was the call from Sammy here. Nice base breakdown. Okay, pretty textbook on this AGRX. Really, really nice. Okay, 15-minute, 20-minute catches up. Perfect. Okay, and then gave you plenty of time to cover. And if you want to flip off the level 2, flip was actually okay too. It actually did give chance to flip. Mentioned it in the room as well. Okay, so you can see big volume there at the bottom. Okay, and then you can flip it back the other way. Okay, so today had to be a little bit patient. I thought, at least from what we had, right? Like I said, kind of disappointed. Didn't find these in the pre-market. Try to do a better job of it tomorrow. But otherwise, that's for the morning plays. Afternoon stuff, there was still some to be done. James had a nice play, I think, on the TXMD as well. Nice penny base and then a breakout. Okay. All right. So hopefully you did well today, and we'll be back at it tomorrow. Okay. Pretty interesting what we got in the market. Pretty good, clear picture here to work with. All right. Let me see what that actual high is. I just did kind of a line there just to estimate. 33.05, 33.15. So yeah, that should be the more or less where the line in the sand is. Give it a few cents. So let's just say 333.20. Okay. All right, guys. Have a good rest of the day. I will talk to you tomorrow.